Thank you, George and Jill, for coming on to the Plants on Wheels podcast today. How are you guys doing today?
Doing amazing.
Great. We have great weather. You'll hear the birds chirping as we have the interview.
Yeah, I hear it. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, you launched a vegan bacon business at 14 years old. What sparked that idea?
Uh, it was really just it wasn't really an idea. It was like motivation. I wasn't really deciding I wanted to do it. I was really just I felt like thrusted into it because I had an idea and it worked. I had something that worked. People were interested. People were motivated to support it, and I thought, why not pursue it?
That's amazing. You just knew right away you wanted to execute that idea. A lot of people think they have to wait for a specific time to start something, and you already knew. That's amazing. So, were there people that took you seriously in the beginning, or did you feel like you had to prove yourself, or you just knew right away, I'm going to just do whatever it takes?
Near the start, our business was like just starting to start off. So we were getting a lot of things in order. So a lot of people didn't take us as seriously. We tried to sell some of our bacon to different restaurants and that, and we got turned away because we weren't professional. Like we didn't have a professional enough like packaging and that stuff. Currently, like we've been slowly improving. So it's been slowly turning out better. And now we're getting into co-ops and different grocers, as well as trying to sell to some restaurants.
Oh, that's amazing. When you first started the business, what was it that shaped your relationship with food and entrepreneurship?
When I was younger, I always had a relationship with food. Like at least once to two times a week, I would make dinner for my family. So I always had a good relationship. But with the business, it gave me more in-depth knowledge of ingredients and other things, which I feel like really helped me be able to connect more with food and be able to understand it when I eat food, to understand the different flavors in it.
So he was the youngest kid in the house, and he had the sharpest knife at about 3 years old. And we just made sure that we integrated him with all the meals and all the cooking. And so it started from very young, his interest and his just love of that.
And what's so beautiful is that you like allowed him that independence, and look at him today. And a lot of parents today, some are afraid, right, to have their kids in the kitchen, but really that's a sign. And you definitely picked up on that. What was the hardest part of being a teen founder in the vegan space, and what, kept you going when you came across a challenge and you had to learn something new?
I feel like the main challenge right now with having a business is being in school currently. With school, it is really hard to put all of my focus down into my business just because there's mounting homework, especially recently in my junior year. Junior is like always hard, at least for people like me. And because of that, it really made it hard for me. But I always, whenever I like sell bacon to a person at a festival, or whenever I get in contact with someone and they are able to taste it and they see how amazing it is and like congratulate me on what I've done, it always motivates me to go farther. Just with seeing how many people believe in me, it makes me want to keep on going.
There's definitely hard points too where we would be at a festival and there wasn't enough people that came to the place, and we would have way more bacon than we thought. um at that, like in our early days, we didn't have the kind of packaging that kept the bacon for a long time, and so we would sell it, and then we would have a ton of leftovers that we just have to throw away eventually. Right? Do you remember those first days of
Mm-hmm.
festivals?
Yeah, I completely understand that. I was actually going to ask you that as well. Like how was those early days? What did they actually look like? The things that people don't see behind the scenes. And we've even experienced that when we would do events. We always want to cook for at least a minimum of 100 people. And if we have leftover food, we'll normally just hand it out to people in the park, or we'll have like one of our volunteers bring it to a shelter. So from what it sounds like, you were definitely grinding through your young teen years and now you're a junior in high school.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of hard work on top of all the schoolwork.
Mhm.
But even through all that, you still were able to come up with these three signature flavors. How did you come up with that?
So originally I only had one flavor. It was our basic savory bacon, just a simple flavor with it. And when I was first creating the that flavor, I was trying out different ingredients, different portions, and that stuff, which helped me then get the sweet bacon with modifying different things. I was able to get the sweet southern bacon with more maple syrup and other ingredients to bring out the sweetness. And then for the pepper bacon, I would say it was really an accident. We accidentally added too much pepper to one of our recipes, and we decided to go with it to cook it, see how it turns out, and it gave an amazing pepper taste that wasn't overpowering and still was steady.
And
Yeah,
we knew three flavors was kind of the way to go, just from looking at other people at the festival. We always sell at vegan festivals, so looking at the vegan festivals and seeing what other people have to offer. And but if you go way more than three, then people have a really hard time deciding. And then so that's a good number to help customers also not feel overwhelmed.
yeah, I think that's definitely strategic to have three flavors, you know, for sure, at least these three flavors people will like. So like you said, you come up with these ingredients. What approach do you take to get the texture and making it taste delicious for vegans and people who grew up on pork bacon? How do you figure that out?
It's really trial and error, at least for us. With with it like being completely new when we're making it, I would say from scratch, we have to go through slight modifications of everything. So, like slightly more cook time to make give it more crisp. If there's too little, it becomes too like chewy, so it doesn't have the signature crunch that we have with our bacon. And then yeah, just a lot of trial and error to get there.
So he's being a little bit too modest here because what happened, he says we, but it was really him that came up with the recipe. And I wanted him to enjoy BLT sandwiches, and I wanted him to be able to do it. He's been vegan since birth. So
Amazing.
so I wanted to make sure he enjoyed a BLT sandwich, and we just weren't liking the bacons on the market that were out there. So I told him that he just had to make his own bacon before we could do that because I didn't want him to dislike a BLT sandwich, which is just a classic fun thing.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing how you guys like just take the time to really get the right texture because that's super important.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's why some people that aren't vegan will say, "Oh, well, I don't like this vegan cheese," because it's just you got to find the one that you really like. But
Yeah.
I just want to go back on what you said about he's been vegan since he was born. That's amazing. That's not easy, even since I guess even 10 years back from now was even more different. The vegan world had even less vegan products. So
Yeah.
just like a question for you, Mom, like how has that been like motherhood and raising a vegan child when that's not the norm in society?
Well, I tried very hard to keep him vegan. So I, in this, so with the pressures of society, right? Because when he goes to school, he's going to be introduced to a lot of things that aren't vegan, that might taste good. Teachers didn't always know what was vegan, and they would try to offer him something that wasn't. So, we, whenever he went to birthday parties, we asked the family, "Hey, what are you serving?" And then we would bring the same thing in just vegan form for him. So if they were having pizza with ice cream, we'd bring pizza and ice cream. So he didn't feel like he was missing out on those basic foods that all the other kids were able to have. Um, so we did that, and then we also run a summer camp, and we did the same thing. We're doing the same thing at the summer camp because it's it's similar. We want the vegetarians and the vegans and the gluten-free kids to feel like they can have the same things that other kids are having without
That's that's
compromising.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that inclusivity is so important. And again, it's a simple just choice of saying, well, you can still experience it and eat healthy all in one. I love that. So what made you want to make the bacon pre-cooked and shelf stable, which is really rare and really important, I think, especially for low-income families, is just easy and accessible. How did you come up with that formula?
So, the idea of our bacon was originally either going to be people would cook it themselves or it would already be ready. Both options would have worked for us with how it is prepared. It may have some problems with either one, but the reason we stuck with shelf stable, ready out of the package, is because it makes sure that every slice of bacon you have is the exact same. There's no difference. It's always the same flavor, and you can't mess it up with cooking it. You can't accidentally burn it. It just ensures that every bacon is always the perfect consistency, perfect flavor, everything you need.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And here in New York, there are some bacon brands, but not many that are shelf stable. What's the most surprising feedback that you've gotten from someone trying it for the first time at the market, or even like a family member or a friend?
For meat eaters.
Yeah.
When they taste it.
Yeah, the most surprising feedback would be from meat eaters. Just all of them like have their ideas of bacon and that stuff. Whenever they taste it, they always are surprised that it tastes like amazing. It may not taste exactly like it, but they say it's very similar with the texture, the flavor, or different ways. And probably the most surprising um feedback is just someone saying that they'd rather that than actual bacon. With some people, at least some family friends, that said they'd rather that than regular bacon. Just is amazing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must definitely feel good to know that, you are making that impact, even if it's little by little. And you're definitely showing that it's not the meat, it's actually the flavor, right? That's why people really think they
Mm.
like meat, right? It's really all in the flavor. So, does that ever affect the way you talk about your product or market your product to like supermarkets, or you just have a different approach?
Crispy. I
Yeah,
think.
you wanna?
Okay. Just people, even vegans and vegetarians miss crispy bacon. And then a lot of the stuff that's in on the market, if you try to crisp it up, it gets too cardboardy and it's really easy to burn, and people just aren't satisfied with that, and they're missing like a crispy BLT, like a little bit of crisp with their um avocado toast, that kind of stuff. They and yeah, so that's where I was heading with that.
Yeah, we the main way we market is because we're different. A lot of other bacons, as you said, like there's not many places that have pre-cooked, shelf stable, that type of bacon. So we're really advertising like we're different. We have easier accessibility. You don't have to refrigerate it because refrigeration space is always hard for different grocers of that area. So we're bringing up that we're much easier to market. We're much easier to give to people because there isn't as many requirements to hold it. And that is shelf stable and is able to be held for a long time.
Yeah, I love that approach, and I love that specific lens on the shelf stableness.
Mhm.
So, as a young vegan founder, what does it mean to have representation in the plant-based industry today?
It as a founder, like it definitely gives some pressure with different people going to vegan festivals where we normally sell at. It's their first exposure to the vegan area. So it gives a lot of pressure of they're tasting your bacon. That's probably the first vegan bacon they may have tasted, or that's probably the first time they've had that type of things. which makes it that you want to make sure it's perfect. You want to make sure that if they have it, they don't see have a too negative outlook. But it also gives like it brings it that like I can make a difference with the vegan bacon for like other vegan, like for vegans instead of just meat eaters, people who never had that. It shows that like I can make a difference, and it shows that with a representation as a young vegan, it can bring some light to different areas. Just with a lot of people becoming vegan recently, having someone that's been vegan this long, like any of us here, it shows that it's possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to just continue doing in this space, is just to show people the possibilities. And, then the ball is in their court. But it's, amazing. I mean, the flavors you have sound delicious. And I'm sure you guys come up with a lot of delicious comfort foods. So, how do you see food as a tool for connection and community building, at these markets or just in general?
I see it as like, as you said, like as a tool, as something that starts it. Like with meeting someone, there's always some way you meet someone. Either you meet them doing at least like any number of things. I see bacon as, or vegan foods in general, as a way of meeting new people. Like you, and it also allows people to bond more. So like you meet people over the same love of a certain food, the same love of different things. So I see it as a very much of a like a great tool for connection with just that overall.
And he also, every festival that he goes to, he builds community, because he goes and says hello to every vendor, and he looks and sees what they're doing. He wants to support them. Sometimes they trade. And well, oftentimes he'll ask for a trade. And he'll come back. When he was 14, he'd come back and he'd have like four different foods that he really, really wanted. And I said, well, okay, I'm not buying all of those. So perhaps we do a trade on some of these. And so he would just always do that naturally, by going and saying hello to everybody. And also just, we end up chatting with people at festivals. We end up really like finding out, oh, hey, you went to this school too, and I lived here, and you like that music, and find that there's many more connections that we just have to open ourselves up to.
Yeah, so it sounds like definitely that it was in your blood, that entrepreneurial spirit, and just like you're just, friendly, and you were already, even from 14, building a community. And that's super important when you're building a brand. I think a lot of times people think, you start a business and the way to get it out there is you have like this big influencer, show it on their social media or something, or something of that effect, right? When in reality, I think a long-lasting company comes from building that community, right? Building that trust with your customers, which you are definitely doing. It's a lot of work to even prepare for these festivals and set up, and we definitely know.
And
So
also, what happens is when we're at a festival and George isn't there, people will ask. They'll say, "Where is George now? Why isn't he selling? Where is he? We want to say hi. We want to see how much he's grown," and and all of that. And he actually started like presenting and be a part of festivals back in Chicago land area. Actually in Chicago with Vegan Mania.
interesting. I actually never heard of that.
Yeah, it happened a lot. It was around when I was 5. I did a large presentation of how to make spring rolls, in Vegan Mania with like a huge audience, which I guess definitely is where my love of food cultivated from.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is it like what is Vegan Mania? If you could talk a little bit about it.
It was they no longer have it, but it was a festival for many, many years in the Chicago area. And it was bringing in vegan, well, it was just a vegan festival. So bringing in vegan foods and flavors, and chefs, and so he and his sister did chef demos actually. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, and then also advocacy and making sure people understood like this is why you could become vegan, why you want to become vegan. So it was all of that, and they did 2 years of demos there. Yeah.
that actually leads me into my next question because you're not just making food, you're also speaking up about advocacy. I saw you had like a recent post about ditching dairy, the campaign. What inspired you to speak on that with your audience, and what message do you hope people take from it?
Mhm. With like ditching date, like the reason we want to bring that to light is that there's other alternatives for this and stuff. Like reason it's the best time now than ever is there's so many different alternatives. There's a lot of different other nut-based milks and all of that, which really makes it able that you can have milk without losing anything. Like it's still like the same exact thing. It doesn't change nutrition. It doesn't really change that at all. So like now than never is the best time to advocate for making the change.
And if we're a vegan company, we're not doing that just for ourselves and building our particular company, but it's helping people understand the alternatives that they can have in their life that are healthier, better for the environment, and better for the animals. And why not make that choice, especially if the food tastes good, right? Especially if you can find recipes um, and have your favorite foods, even if they, well, are when they don't actually need to kill anything to do that.
Yeah, I love that because you guys, from what I hear, understand that it's more than just building, making vegan food accessible. It's everything. Everything's connected. So I do love that. And I know it could be hard balancing, right? Being a founder, a food creator, and then also being a voice, right, for plant-based advocacy all at once. So does that ever feel like a lot of tension, a lot of, is it a lot of things to deal with at the moment, or has it ever been?
I mean, definitely now than never, it's been a lot of stuff to deal with, at least with school. I recently started going to a boarding school in Pennsylvania. So it's been hard when we're based out of North Carolina to keeping up with with the festivals and the image of it, especially when like half of the business is gone since we're co-owners. It's hard to keep that up.
We're only co-owners because he wasn't old enough to own a business when we started. Because I was a teacher for many years and I did teach. I did a little bit on environmentalism and a little bit about just the health of how we eat and such in my classes. But I guess we've never felt it hard speaking out about being vegan, um, partially because it's been his whole life, right? And so he's been able to figure out how to make it work everywhere he goes.
That's absolutely amazing because so many times you hear like, people will be vegan for so many years and then they just go back to eating meat. I will never understand that. So I'm assuming you've just picked up a lot of stuff by the age of 3 on how to cook your own food, no matter where you are, because
Yeah.
that's very helpful.
Mhm.
It's awesome in the house too. I mean, he makes homemade ice cream.
What?
He helped dad with biscuits and gravy. Like he was homeschooled for the majority of his life also. And so we were able, I think he actually used this as a way to get out of his work sometimes is if he was like, Mom, can I experiment in the kitchen? And I'd say yes. And then he wouldn't have to do all the other stuff that we had planned for the day that he might not have had as much interest in. So we would do, what are some of the things that we used to make
We would
when
just
you would experiment in the kitchen?
we would just try it with different things, like with making noodles. We've done that a couple of times. We made like traditional ramen broth, like traditional Japanese ramen, other things. We would just have fun experiencing with different recipes and like she said, ice cream or anything like
Empanadas.
that that is not normally cooked, but it is definitely like amazing to try.
Oh yeah, you guys are trying everything, all different types of food. And I'm looking forward to getting to the cooking part with our sons because we're looking to homeschool as well.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, are you?
Absolutely.
We can talk more
Yes.
later because there's all kinds of fun things you can do with that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would love to.
Yeah. And so
So
it
yeah.
wasn't so hard taking him to festivals and jumping in the car on a Saturday or something like that to go to the festivals or to make the food on a Thursday or Friday because that was just a part of homeschooling now, learning how to run the business. And we did all kinds of stuff with the homeschooling with we went to classes on how to run a business together and learned like about accounting and learned about um, what just
Accounting,
media,
media,
right?
co-op, like communications with co-ops, distributors, and other things.
Photography, like
Yeah, that's just amazing. Like you're not learning that in school and you probably will not learn that until you probably go to college. Like it's
right,
crazy, but it's that's the beauty of homeschooling.
yeah. And even so, even if you learn it in a classroom, it's so much you take in so much more by doing it, right?
Absolutely. The real life experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So are most of your friends homeschooled or it's like, a variety of people?
It's definitely changed over the years. I've recently went to public high school, so it's shifted from majority homeschooled to now slowly shifting over to more public school or boarding school friends. I definitely still do keep up with old friends, but it's a shifting environment, especially with going out to Pennsylvania to do schooling. I have to be able to make new connections and make new friends there.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. What would you say to young people who want to make a difference in food justice or animal rights but don't know where to start?
I mean, it's always good to start little, no matter how small it is. It's always can make a difference. Like going to different rallies, doing anything like that, you're becoming a new voice. You're starting to be able to show yourself. And at those places, you can always make new connections, talk with people, which then can lead into being able to like start heading at different environmental advocacy like communities or places, and that can also just like cooking vegan can also help you find out something that you're very passionate about or find out a meal that you love to make or a food that you want to share with the world. So like just
Mhm.
go out in the world and try to do stuff. Like there's nothing to lose.
Yeah, I love that. There is truly nothing to lose, and it's either you're gonna try and either find out it's gonna fail or it's gonna be successful, and you just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, what does growth look like for Geo D Foods? You mentioned earlier you guys are now transitioning into having people buy your product more. So,
Mm-hmm.
how's that journey been?
It's been a long journey. Even though it's only been 3 years,
No, I understand.
but
A lot happens.
yeah, it's a long journey, especially with like going to distributors or other areas. Like it's a lot to take in, overall with communication with different co-ops or anything like that. It's like I said, it's been a long journey, but overall, like
So growth, where are we
yeah,
going?
overall, like it's been allowing us to start actually to get into co-ops with starting that early on and being able to continue with that. Co-ops, we're starting to sell online more. We're building more online connections just in general so we can have more of a online presence and stuff like that, which hopefully we can grow to become much larger so we can be supported a lot more on online sales and other things.
Groceries, yeah, grocery stores are our next focus in the next few years. So since he's away at school, we're doing a lot of this with distance, and so I'm doing a lot of the festivals and such this year. He'll do one by himself for the first time in
Lyle,
Lyle,
Illinois.
Illinois. Yeah, in August, where it will be just him.
It's
Um,
called Veg Fest.
yeah,
Wow, that sounds exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so we're building into that into the grocery stores. But trying to do it slow enough that we don't feel completely overwhelmed also.
Yeah, I think that's very important, not getting burned out and just, having the roadmap and just committing to it, and that's really what matters. You guys going at your pace and still accomplishing the things that you guys have set out for this year. So, are there any new flavors or products you guys are dreaming of creating and sharing with your audience?
If anything, we have been thinking about more of a like a bag of chip or chip like thing. With how our product is made, there's a lot of different ways you can modify it. So we have been looking into
Like bacon chips, right?
like bacon chips with oil frying it to make it like a small chip flavor, which you can just pop in your mouth instead of having long slices of bacon, having it be like a more bag or snack type thing. It's something we're looking into, and just in general, expanding with selling foods in general into different festivals when we have the time, we have the capacity to.
He's still experimenting. The last time he was home for a break, he was in the kitchen and we were playing around with different ideas. So we have a lot of fun with that still.
Yeah, I think you have to always remember to have fun. Like, that's what it's about. If you're not having fun, I think it loses your unique touch that only you guys can bring to your brand. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. You guys still get in the kitchen when, like you said, you guys have that time and still create flavors. That's awesome. So where do you guys imagine the future of your brand, 10 years from now? What impact do you want to have on the vegan food world?
I mean, we're hoping to like expand fully instead of just being a small business, being able to get into grocery stores and being able to expand expand our presence, expand our product line, all of that, but also expose more people into vegan foods with like we've already been starting to do that, being able to like continue to do that, grow that so we can become like so we can gain more of an impact so people can become vegan or people can see the world of veganism to see that idea and see that opportunity.
To stay vegan too, right? For those people that change because they're like, I just miss bacon. I'm just gonna go eat bacon, and then they're no longer vegan, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. And it's tough, of course, dealing with that type of person that is so hooked onto not making the connection with the food and the animal, right? And it's difficult. So we definitely give you guys props for continuing that because that is truly a challenge. What advice would you give to another 14-year-old with a big idea and no roadmap?
Start small. I mean, like I said earlier, there's nothing to lose. You can start by introducing it to friends, family, and then you can expand by there's different festivals everywhere, like anywhere around the US or the world where you can sell different things. There's farmers markets where you can just go there, try it out. Like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it works, you can grow large. Like you can start your own business. You can start selling it everywhere. So like if you see something, if you see an opportunity, pursue it. Leave it behind.
And you don't always need a roadmap at the very beginning
Mhm.
because we had no idea that this was going to turn into anything because it started with him like bringing people into one of my booths where I was selling vegan cookbooks and we were using food to lure people in. And he was making BLTs with this new bacon that he had just made. And they were like, sorry, I don't want the cookbook, but I really want that bacon. and all,
Absolutely.
yeah, and all of a sudden it blossomed. And 3 years later, here we are and still standing.
I love that. I love the dedication and the grassroots. And I know as long as you guys keep going, your product will definitely be known by more people around the world. And I really want to appreciate, thank you guys for coming on, appreciate your dedication, appreciate your advocacy. And where can people find you? they want to find out more about your food?
So you can find us at different festivals on the East Coast. We're traveling up and down it. Like we go all the way up into Pennsylvania. We did different festivals
Connecticut, I
there.
think, was the farthest north we've gone.
Yeah, so
Actually, we did a Toronto, so even
we've done
farther.
other festivals in that area. And then we have Instagram, Geo D Foods.
Okay.
And then we also have
Our website.
our website where we do sell our bacon. You can learn more about our business or get in contact with us at geodfoods.com.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us here.
Absolutely. And we will definitely stay in touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for this conversation and for the knowledge. And
Yeah.
And thank you for hosting us.
Thank you
no
for doing
problem.
the same kind of fun stuff and really getting word out and helping people. It's awesome.